Could I ask you this? I mean, the story in Honduras, and you're working in Mexico too, but you spend time in Afghanistan and suss that out. I mean, working in Mexico, this is kind of a craft question before we kick it off to some more questions, but like I was always trying to do my best in Mexico and Central America and cover things. And I don't think I became paranoid, but I was like way more careful in Mexico and Latin America than I was in the Middle East. I was just very sensitive to the fact that you're really alone there.
Yeah.
How did you like deal with going into these places where in Honduras they hadn't seen an outside reporter or a local reporter in forever, or in Mexico, San Fernando, where the last person there was whoever. It's very kind of a chilling place to work. How did you deal with that little creeping feelings of anxiety and fear and paranoia? You know,
the truth is, when it comes to security, it's not sexy, but it's all about logistics. You have to have a plan, a way to get in, a way to get out, certain sort of rules and regulations you abide by, how you drive. You have to know who your interlocutors are. You have to be able to trust them. And then you have to make spot calculations. I mean, the whole time I was in Honduras, I was on a WhatsApp chat with our head of security, my editor, the head photography editor, and a number of other people, because the idea was like, we need to make sure that nothing is, that nothing bad could happen. I'm sorry, my computer's messing up. We need to make
just to stop you there. So, are you in live time WhatsApp with editors who are? Well, I'm going into a house now. I'm going to talk to this gang fellow. I'm going to talk to the priest, and they're just monitoring your movements a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the nature of it is I do a live location the whole time I'm there, just reset for every day so that they know at any given moment exactly where I am in case, God forbid, something were to happen. They at least have a GPS coordinate on me. And then, yeah, as we're doing risky things, as things are going on, I'm messaging, telling them what's going on. Before I go into a meeting with like the leaders of MS-13, I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is where I am. If you don't hear from me, it's because I'm not going to be picking up my phone and messaging, but just FYI. So it was, yeah, it's real-time communication. I mean, in some ways, like they're literally with me there while I'm doing the reporting. And then afterwards, I'll call my editor if something remarkable happened. And that story was one of those stories where I just sort of caught the jet stream of the narrative. You know, this remarkable pastor was doing these things while I was there and wanted me with him. And he was like, if you're crazy enough to come with me, I'm crazy enough to do it. And he
I know that was amazing. Yeah. But just to point out, though, to the people watching, I mean, that would be a level of protection and scrutiny that would be available for the New York Times, a little slightly less for the Washington Post, but like in the Wall Street Journal, but not for BuzzFeed. So that's something for our colleagues to keep in mind about how you went into these places and kept eyes on you. I know these days too, more people have more Vismo, they wear the little watches, they wear everything else when they went into Syria and Afghanistan and everything else. And I think that's the way the world works now. You have to be very GPSed. But I think that the New York Times was really sensible to do that. You were super smart to do it that way, because who knows, it could have. I mean, you seemed like a completely competent reporter and a guy who could work himself out of most situations, but sometimes situations go bad.
I think the time in Afghanistan was essential to that. You know, I would do embeds with the Afghan army, and that might be the scariest thing I ever did, because just for a variety of reasons, but a lot of it was about, again, it's about logistics. What's your security plan? How long do you plan on staying? What sort of things are you doing to avoid predictability and patterns? And that all served me well. And that's before you can even start thinking about the journalism.
Yes.
So in order to maintain security, and I've always been someone who's like, whoever's least comfortable in the reporting team that's who we go with. If somebody doesn't want to be there, we leave. If somebody's comfortable, but someone else isn't, we go with the person who's uncomfortable. And so, yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just like, having done this for a while, you have an instinct. You kind of know when you can and can't be somewhere.
No, I think you broke up there. Hello?
I was saying the main one of the main things is, you know, the pastor was this neutral, peaceful figure, and so
Yeah.
being with him gave me some legitimacy as an outsider, and also allowed for others not to see me as a threat.
Yeah, no, that was genius. Can I ask, I think we're 25 minutes in. Are there, Chad, are there questions for?
Yes, we do have a question here lined up from Bill. Do the Mexican drug gangs create gangs in other countries to help cover their tracks and help them smuggle drugs into the US? Or are the gangs in Honduras, say, completely independent?
Yeah, I would say in Central America, there's a lot of independence. There might be operators from Mexican cartels there helping orchestrate the transit of drugs. But I did a profile of a 18 gang leader a couple years ago for the magazine. And during that time, I was asking him about how it works. And he was essentially saying, we transport things for them. They basically subcontract some of the work to these local criminal enterprises in Central America and elsewhere. But yeah, it's not like, you know, the Sinaloa cartel has an entire group of people operating in, at least as far as I know, in San Pedro Sula. I think they have a few people who then, you know, subcontract to the operating main criminal group to then carry out smuggling, etc.
Chad, do you have another one there, or we can?
Those are all the questions we have lined up right
Okay.
now, but
Oh.
we could remind.
We have many more here.
Yeah,
So,
good, okay.
I've got a good one. When you were in up in Honduras, down in Honduras, from there, and you were just talking about that a little bit a while ago. I mean, do you feel like if you went back after you wrote these stories, how would you be received back in these places by the people that you wrote about? What would be the reaction there? How would people see what you did, even though it was in English and maybe translated in Spanish? How would that be to go back to places that you've covered?
I mean, sometimes it's like people love it. People are like, that was amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. You know, you're treated almost like family or kin because you spent time together in difficult situations. And in some cases, Bill and all the other reporters on this, you know that not everybody's always happy with what you've written, or some people think or don't really understand what it's going to be. And you can try and you can show them, like, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be on the front page. This is what I'm going to say. You can go through it fact by fact, but they maybe feel like some part of their existence wasn't reflected in the way that they wanted it to be reflected. I mean, we try to get through countless interviews and hours as close to the truth as we can. And that is like, that's actually what keeps me up at night more than anything.
I bet it is, because you can, yes, a little mistake in Mexico or Honduras on your part of the New York Times or Washington Post could get someone snapped up in bad calculations. And I know you're super alert to that.